Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Mirrorless Minutes. We are on episode number 26, and this episode, we're going to cram it full of really cool stuff for you guys this week. This week, we've got a great interview with our friend Thomas, who's got a really wicked IndieGoGo campaign going on that we're excited to talk about. Mike and I will spend a few minutes talking about the latest firmware updates that are coming for a couple of the OM-D bodies. And we'll talk about our photo walk and maybe do an image share towards the end of the show. So, welcome back, Mike, and hello, Thomas.
Hey, yeah, how's it going? And especially Thomas, I really appreciate you getting on and coming on and having some time to spend with us because I know I'm one of the backers, so I'll admit that right off the bat of the new bag and the company first. I guess to begin with is the Cosyspeed. Is that the company that that's you right now? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. So first of all, thanks very much for being in your show. I really enjoy that, even if it's a little bit late in the night in Germany right now, but it's really cool to be here. Yes, yeah, Cosyspeed, that's me, in fact, and I'm working with some freelancers together. And Cosyspeed, the name comes from Cozy Compact System cameras. That's where we are specialized in gear for compact system cameras. And speed is the main benefit of our product, our first product, the Camslinger bag. So this is how the name Cosyspeed comes. And yes, we are focused on gear for mirrorless cameras. I guess we are the first manufacturer worldwide who is specialized on mirrorless gear, especially. And our first product is a bag, the Camslinger bag, which is I have one here I can show you.
Yeah.
Which is some kind of I would say an alternative to a sling strap. As you have, I don't know if you know sling straps. You have like Black Rapid or Sun Sniper, like these very good products. And the main benefit is you have a very quick and one-handed access if you use a sling strap. And your camera is very easy and very quick in your hand within a second. And I was a very heavy sling strap user some years ago. When I was in Africa, I was living in Burundi for 2 years. I was in the streets for street shooting, and I enjoyed my sling strap. The main problem I had with it was my camera was always exposed to weather, to rain, to bumps, and especially to the views of strangers. And so I had the idea, okay, you need something which is quick as a sling strap, but on the other side, safe as a bag for the time when the camera is not in use. And so we started to develop the Camslinger bag, which you can wear around your hip and have this really very quick one-handed access to the camera. And yeah, that's Cosyspeed, and that's how we started. And on the one side, we have these, as we think, very innovative bag system, and we will have some more innovative products from the cameras. And on the other side, our approach is to try to help a little bit in poorer countries. Like, for example, in Burundi, we have already one product which is made in Burundi and a development aid project, the Camp Pillow. I have one.
He's still there. You can hear him.
I'm sorry, guys. So this is a pillow where you can put your camera on your desk, and as soon as your coffee cup tumbles next time, you don't have to have fear that your camera will be wet, because it is stored on this pillow. And it is made in a development aid project, and it's some kind of our approach to do both things. Innovative camera gear on one side and helping a little bit on the other side.
So,
that's
I'm kind of curious, what got you going in supporting the mirrorless camera systems. I'm excited that you're doing it because, as far as I'm concerned, that's the future of camera
Yeah.
technology, and it's great to see somebody that's leading the manufacture of products that are devoted to our system cameras. Is it because you started off shooting with, or you transitioned into mirrorless, or is it you saw an
Yeah.
available market? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, it's the both of it. So in 2010, when I went to Africa for 2 years, I came along with my Nikon D700 and some prime lenses. Great camera, no question, but it was way too big to go shooting on the streets and so on. And by this time, I bought my first Lumix GF1, little Olympus 10 EP2, I think. And I immediately realized that it's so easy to walk on the streets to make street shooting in Africa and other countries. So a transition started from DSLR to mirrorless, and my origin professionally is in advertising business. I had an advertising agency, marketing for some years. And so I came back in 2012 from Burundi, and I had to start a new business. And so the question was, what do you do? A new agency or what? And so I came across the idea, okay, let's go into the mirrorless market, which is very young, which is very strong growing. And to my opinion, there was so much space for manufacturers to develop some gear for these cameras. So that was my motivation. First of all, transition from DSLR to mirrorless, and then I saw this market, and I had this idea of this cam slinger bag, and so that was the way it was.
Good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. Hey, can you? I know that our video probably isn't 100% when we're all together on this, but can you show us a little bit about the bag, like the one that's on the IndieGoGo? That's the one that you held up there, right? Because it goes around your waist, which is which is a really sharp thing, especially if you're doing a lot of street shooting. I know myself, backpacks definitely don't want to be getting on subways or in crowded places. You turn and you knock people over with backpacks. And it's just not a good way to go. But if it's on your waist, it's really compact, and you could probably go in and out of people a lot easier, I think.
Yeah.
And
so,
let's see what it looks like a little bit.
So this one here is a prototype of the cam slinger Street-O-Matic, which is right now in IndieGoGo. And you see it's a very small, compact bag. It's not for carrying your gear, your whole gear from A to B. It's really for the days when you're out shooting. You have in this bag all you need, in my opinion. You see, you can. What I have here is, it's not an Olympus right now; it's a Sony camera. But you can put in all mirrorless cameras. It's no problem. When the bag is open, you can grab your camera with one hand. You see, it's very easy. We have developed this little finger strap here.
Right. Yeah, I like that a lot.
You can attach it to your camera, and it allows you, when grabbing your camera, attach it, and your camera is safe. It can fall down. And you really need only one hand to use this bag. It's really quick.
Yep.
You have a bag for your phone. iPhone 6 fits perfectly. 6 Plus, it's a little bit too small for it, but for mid-sized phone, it's very nice. You have an accessory bag on this side to put in some spare batteries, SD card, some small stuff. And I will try to show you guys how this works. You have it on your hip. Can you see that?
Yep.
So if I want to take an image, I just open the bag, grab my camera, take my picture, and put it back.
Yep. Yeah, it's a nice quick movement. You know, it's like a cowboy.
Yeah. You're right. You know, when I started developing this bag, I got into, let me say, a creative crisis. I didn't know um, how to progress with it. And so I did what I always did when I had a creative crisis back in my days from the advertising agency. I watched my favorite movies. The first one was The Big Lebowski with Jeff Bridges, but I couldn't find any solution. And then my favorite movie of all times is Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. I saw it, and I saw how quick Gene Hackman pulled out his gun, and I said, "Hey, wow, that's it. You need a holster." And so
There you go.
you're right when you say it's like a cowboy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it reminds me of, pulling out a holster. And you know, when
Yeah.
you're in shooting, I mean, obviously, I know you do a lot of street shooting yourself, so
Yeah.
you got to be quick. I mean, you got 1 second, 2 seconds to make a decision, and a lot of the time you're going to have your camera out of there anyways. Now, is there a way to put at least one more lens probably in there with the camera, you think?
Yeah.
Just a small
Especially when
prime or
you're
something?
especially when you're shooting Micro Four Thirds cameras like
Right.
Olympus or Lumix cameras. With these
Yep.
cameras, the lenses are a lot smaller than with APS-C or full frame cameras. And
Right.
I have a Lumix GX7 and Olympus EM10, and you can easily use it with maybe the 17 attached to your camera and the 45 and 12 millimeter in your bag, and you have enough space for that to walk around. That's fine.
Yep.
That's really
Yeah, that's all you need. That's exactly what I would take out on a day, is those two, for sure.
Yeah.
So
So
well,
this
that's
bag
excellent. So I
is
know we'll have the link. Go ahead, Jamie.
yeah. So this bag is on. It's being crowdfunded through an IndieGoGo campaign.
Right.
Yes.
And how many days do you have left on that before the time is up? And how close are you to your goal?
We have 2 weeks ahead of us, and we are right now at I think 61%. And yes, we are pretty confident that we will reach the goal. There are still some reviews coming, especially in the US, and so I hope we will reach the goal. And yeah, it's let me say, a funny thing to do a crowdfunding. It's the first time we do it, but it's really cool because you get a lot of feedback from people who are backing, and so you meet a lot of nice guys like you, for example. And yeah, that's it.
All right, so everybody hears it here. You've got 2 weeks or less to get out there and back this. It's definitely a street shooter's bag for sure. I'm kind of interested in it now. I'm not really a street shooter, but I still think it would come in handy just for those of us who like to take a walk in the woods. You know, it's a lot more convenient than carrying a big shoulder bag or a backpack that you have to take off of your back, you know, and turn around to get into. So definitely has appeal to, I think, a pretty broad market, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it really does. And I saw some of your some of the posts or something that you've put out there. You actually are carrying, you know, we'll say that 4-letter word DSLR. We'll say I saw some big DSLRs actually in that thing. I mean, actually in that too. So I mean, you can't put anything else in there, but
yeah, you can put these things in, and it's no problem. And you see, we developed this bag together with Thomas Leuter from Switzerland. You may know this guy, and he's a Olympus visionary as well as you guys too. And I know him since 1.5 years, and we became friends. And so some time ago, we came together, and I asked him, Thomas, we have a new bag in the pipe, and I'd like to ask you if you would like to help us developing, give us some tips and so on. And so we made this together. And the Street-O-Matic is, in fact, a bag which is developed by a street photographer, a very well-known street photographer, for street photographers. So it works.
I mean, that's great backing with Thomas, that's for sure. You know, that's fantastic. So I really like that. Well, hey, we will have that link though, right, Jamie? We'll put
Yeah,
all
we
that
sure
link
will.
in our show notes, and I know it will continue to put it out there too. You know, as the weeks progress, I've already got some things set up on my buffer zone to go out there, so
Yep.
that'll be great. And you know, we appreciate you coming on. Is there any last thing you want to tell us or whatever? Because then we'll probably say goodbye to you so you can get some rest.
Yeah, well, sure. Something I would like to say. I have a friend from Greece. It's Spyros Papaspyropoulos, who's writing for a street blog, Street Hunters Now. And when you talk to him, or you write an email, or you have a conversation with him, his last words are always "stay sharp and keep shooting." And that's what I want to say to you and your followers. Stay sharp, keep shooting, go out and take pictures. That's the most important thing of all. And and have a great time. And thanks for being here.
Great. Thank you again for coming on.
Thomas. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys.
You take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Oh, okay.
All right.
We are back.
Ta-da! I wield the power.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you might be wielding the power there.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. It's good that, you know, it's awesome that he was kind enough to wake up in the middle of the night after having already gone to bed to sleep and get up to do this interview with us. So it was great to have Thomas on. And you know, for everybody watching, of course, you know, you can expect to see the link to his IndieGoGo campaign as well as the Cosyspeed website on the show notes for the show. And of course, Mike's a backer, and I think I'm probably going to be after this. It's a wicked cool bag. So
yeah. But I think, like any photographer, you could probably wake up at any time and talk about camera bags.
Oh, heck yeah. Definitely, without a doubt.
Right?
You know, with us, it's either cameras or bags. So, you know.
Right.
But so, hey, so what do you want to talk about next? You know, there's some interesting developments in the OM-D front.
Yeah, there is, boy, and I knew that came out that last time I couldn't get on the show, and and I know actually you were interviewing Rob.
Yeah.
And that was a great interview, and that probably didn't leave us a whole lot of time to talk about the firmware updates. No. And boy, we've got some exciting things coming in November with this firmware, and I can't. I'm trying to think of anyone that I've read that's even really been negative about the situation, because I don't know how you can be negative when you have a camera that's great, right? You love it, and now they just made it better without charging you another $2,000 or $1,500 for a brand new body that does the same thing, but with 10 new maybe options, and they just release this firmware. This is really where I think the future is going with this firmware updates,
without a doubt.
And to know that it's going that route, it just makes me feel great that I'm associated with Olympus. I know you feel the same way. And then to see Olympus come back with so many things to put on these cameras.
I mean,
it's 10.
There's really not too many people doing this, you know, not too many manufacturers that are willing to invest this much work into an existing product line and keep it going. I mean, Olympus on their website, actually, it's cool how they're talking about it. They've actually got this whole section about love your camera longer, you know, and I think that is a brilliant way of putting it. You know, you've got a camera that's been out for a couple of years that's going to get, you know, a big update, you know, and stay relevant in the current camera sphere out there, I guess, you know. Totally exciting. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the updates that are coming to the cameras?
I know I'm excited for, well, one, and I know you've already got it with the EM10, the new Mark II, is that the focus stacking and bracketing. Right. You've actually done playing with it, but to know that is going to come on your EM1 weather sealed body and throw your 60mm macro weather sealed. Right. I mean, now you're really talking some serious, I'm sure, macro, whether it's, you know, outside, inside, whatever it might be. Right. That's an amazing. So how does that work? I mean, so I think we're familiar with it before, but it's got to be a lot better.
Yeah. So with the tough cameras, you had the option of doing the two different things. You could focus stack or focus bracket. The
Right.
bracketing just basically means it's going to take a series of photos at different focal lengths, so it's going to focus on, the front of your subject and then move back a little bit, keep moving back and snapping frames at each one of those increments. And it just saves all those photos for you. That's the bracketing. The stacking is actually where it's going to do that and then merge them all in camera to give you an image that has a deeper depth of field to it. And I've been sharing photos from the EM10 Mark II using bracketed photos that I merged in Photoshop, which it's really not hard to do. It's pretty easy, actually.
Yeah.
But I've been doing macros with it until this week. So this week, there have been a couple of stops on my drive home where I decided to set up the EM10 Mark II on a tripod and do the focus bracketed shots for landscape. So for landscape photographers,
Cool.
There's something that we chase after called hyperfocal distance, which is just a technique for finding this it's sort of like a middle ground on your depth of field, so that you've got as much in focus close to the camera as you can out to infinity. And it's not easy all the time to do that. For somebody, for me, my brain just races a million miles a minute, and most of the time my shooting is like I've only got a minute to stop and shoot, and I don't have the time to figure out where my ideal focal length is at. So with this, I just set it up, turn on the bracketing, and I just hit go. I focus on my foreground, and I set it to like 50 frames, and I set it to the widest spacing between focusing points, and just let it go. And I haven't shared any images with that yet. I'm probably going to wait until next week after the photo walk this weekend and stuff like that to share some of them. But the results are great. You've got it's a cool technique, and it's a cool feature. And now, instead of it being on the EM10 Mark II, it's going to be in like the EM1 or the EM5 Mark II, which is pretty awesome to have that. So
yeah, exactly. And then how do you choose, like when you put that, when you said 50 and then let it go, you just choose the distance between that you want, and then does it choose up to 50, or because you can go to a lot more?
You can choose the number of frames that you want to do, and I don't know if I was mentioning it in the interview with Rob, but you've got the option to go out to like I think 999 frames, which is it's insanity.
Crazy.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have like a big IBM Watson supercomputer to stack 999 16 megapixel images together, but the options there, I guess you could do them in chunks. So when you're setting up your bracketing, you've got the option to choose how many frames you want to do, but you've also got the option to make the spacing in between each shot wide or narrow. And what exactly, like technically that means, as far as how much is that distance, I don't know, but I know for shooting insects, I keep it like right in the middle. And I've been able to get shots of like little tiny bees and things like that where the eyes are in focus all the way back to their butt, and normally if you're shooting a macro, it's impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at most people's macro photos and they don't look like that. They look like the eyes are in focus and that's it. So, but to clarify, the EM1 will have the stacking option available to it. Correct. And then the bracketing.
Yeah, it does. It's got both. It's got stacking and bracketing. So that's the stacking is the 8. Am I right?
Yes, correct. It is 8 images, and they are combined in camera. And the output is a JPEG. I know I've had a lot, actually. A lot of people ask me, do I get a raw file out of that? No, you don't get a raw file. You get a JPEG. But you know what? You know how Olympus JPEGs are. They kick ass. So, your image will look great anyways. But so that's just one of the features.
That's just one.
You like to shoot in confined areas close to people stealthily. What is coming that would benefit you?
The silent mode. Thank you.
Oh, yes, that's so awesome.
The silent mode, and now the silent mode will be on every OM-D.
Yes. Which I don't understand that. It's like mind blowing to me because you and I had this conversation before when we had our little meeting. We do like these top secret meetings with Olympus where they discuss things that are coming out before it's publicly announced, and you and I were chatting during that, saying wouldn't that be awesome if it was silent shutter? And I'm like, and I think I said I don't think that's possible. I think that's a mechanical thing. Well, I don't know. They just did some like magic stuff and made it so it's available. So it's a totally
I agree.
becomes an electronic shutter in order to do that. So that's just phenomenal to me.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked about that. I tell you, another one that's just amazing, and it's so simple. It's as simple as that menu cursor position memory.
Yes.
When you're in the menu, and you know this used to be on another brand of cameras that I shot. It would always be when you went back to the menu, you'd be in the same place that you were before. You know, you started, because sometimes you're trying to adjust the same things, and with Olympus, it was always back and forth. It was a little tough. You got, I got to remember to dip down. And,
yeah, if you were buried into the menu, holy cow, you know, like
right.
That's frustrating. But now, you know, you close your menu, you come back to it, and you're right where you left off.
Right where you left off, so you do that.
So I'm going to do something really dorky here, and I don't know if the effect will work. Hopefully my microphone is good enough. So just tell me if you can hear this, or the audience. If you can hear it, the audience can. Could you hear the shutter?
Heard that.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
That's the shutter.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to play, and this is so dorky, but you know me, I'm a dork. So now I've got the EM10 Mark II on silent shutter mode. Ready? And here goes the shutter. I just took 3 pictures, and you didn't hear it at all. So for those who are wondering what silent shutter means, it literally mean it is silent. So, and
it's not just a low, it's not just a soft click. It's silent. In fact, it actually takes a little getting used to. Put it on the EM5 because did I just shoot?
Yes.
You know, and you're like, oh crap, I forgot I was shooting at that time. So yeah, it does take a little bit to get used to, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, a simple one, another real simple one, but you hear it all the time, is when people first get the 12-40 or the 7-14 lens, and they put it on, and everything's blurry, and they're swearing. I mean, I think on every photo walk we've done, this has happened.
Yes.
And I don't know how many questions I've fielded, and I'm sure you've fielded twice that many.
Every time
saying that this lens stinks, it doesn't work, and sure enough, that manual clutch was pushed forward or pulled, in the wrong position, and it was on manual focus.
For those who don't know exactly what we're talking about here, or who aren't familiar with the Olympus lineup, some of the Olympus lenses have, it's called a focus clutch, and so. You know how you've got your focus ring on your lens, and I don't have one of them handy. They're all up on a shelf. There you go. Mike's got it.
If I get it close, it just jumps up and down. That's manual, and this is obviously automatic here.
Yep. So what Mike's doing, he pulls that clutch back. Automatically, the lens and camera are in manual focus mode. You don't have to jump into a menu to go into manual focus. And what we're experiencing is a lot of people, when they get these for the first time, they don't know that. And it might be already popped back, and they're not getting focused. So you have the ability to make that not active in a menu.
Right.
So you can disable that feature if you're never going to use it, which is pretty cool that you've got this mechanism that's on the lens that triggers an action. You can completely disable it from the camera itself, kind of cool.
Yeah, and a lot of people won't use that. I mean, it's specific. It's very specific, I think, to when you use it. I know it's specific when I use it, and I still catch myself. I pull it out of the bag, I go to shoot, and I go, what the heck? It takes 1 second to think, I know what I did. What lens do I have on? And it's that simple to do. So if you don't want it on, take it off. It's simple. The time-lapse movie, that looks like the 4K time-lapse, that's going to be special to make some pretty sharp time-lapses.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think for those people who have 4K TVs, I'm not one of them, but you'll definitely be able to make some cool content to play on your TV. So if you have the 4K TV and you don't really have content to stream to it, you can use your Olympus camera now to create something to wow your guests when they come over on that big fancy screen. So kind of cool. I like it. Yeah, I've just kind of gotten into doing time lapses myself the last 2 weeks. So I was starting.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, how about, and then you have this on the 10 Mark II, the optical viewfinder.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that on there? Simulated optical?
Yep. Simulated optical viewfinder. So basically what you're going to get, I don't know why I grabbed the camera. It's not like I can show you through my laptop camera here, but so people that are going from, a traditional DSLR optical viewfinder or rangefinder camera that has an optical viewfinder, your eye sees things differently than what the electronic viewfinder in one of these cameras is going to see. Your eye has more dynamic range to it, you know, so your perception of what is on the other side of the lens is different than what you'll see through this. It's one of the things that was a hurdle for people transitioning from DSLR to mirrorless. So what the simulated optical viewfinder does, one of the things it does is it gives you this expanded dynamic range. So through this, on normal mode, if it's a darker area of the scene, you might not necessarily be able to make out details in it, you know. So if you wanted to focus on something that was in a darker area, it would be harder to kind of see what it is you're grabbing focus with, you know, or what you're trying to look at. With the simulated optical viewfinder, think of it as almost like a HDR in a way. You know, it's going to bring out more detail in the shadows. It's more true to what your eye is going to see. It further, I think, it further connects you to what you see on the other side of the lens, especially if you're a DSLR user moving over to these as a new camera or second system or something. I'm used to the way that the traditional optical viewfinders work on the OM-D, so it's not something that I use often, but it's something that I've been showing people to kind of get them, you know, familiar with how it functions in these cameras and how it might make their transition a little bit easier. It's kind of
I think so, and exactly. And the I think on the Olympus site, on the Get Olympus site, they've got a real good display of how that differs too. You know, I mean, with two different pictures. If you want to go out and check that out, because it may be something you actually use.
Yeah,
even, you know, like you say, for sure, the DSLR shooter is going to want to have that. But I think you know, something worth I'm looking forward to trying for sure.
So an example of how I used it recently that made sense for me when traditionally I wouldn't use that feature. The other weekend we were in Grand Haven. It's a little town on the west side of the state here on Lake Michigan, and I was there for sunset. And as the sun got lower on the horizon, in my foreground, long shadows were being cast, and there are these big, huge rocks that run alongside this, you know, really beautiful pier with lighthouse. And I was trying to focus kind of midway out so that I knew that I had the rocks in the foreground in focus as well as the stuff in the background. But the rocks were starting to fall into shadow, you know, and it was one of those things where I'd have to hit magnify and zoom in and do all that. And if you turn on the simulated optical viewfinder, everything kind of brightened up enough to where I knew what I had in focus and what wasn't. So it's kind of a cool way of using that. Yeah,
definitely. And I know we won't keep going into many more, but there's a whole multitude of video pieces too that are going to be great on there. So, you know, get on the site, you know, love your camera, you know, longer on the Olympus site. Check that out because it goes into obviously much more detail than we'd have for the show. And then get your camera ready to update in November. You know, I'm pretty certain we'll probably have when it does come out, we'll have a good show to talk about how to update.
Definitely, without a doubt.
And that'll be great for sure. So let's see, what else? Is there anything else going on this weekend that we want to talk about?
I don't know. You know, all I know is I think I'm going to spend Saturday just walking around.
Yeah, walking around. I'm thinking that too.
Probably, you know, you and 69, 70 other people in Ann Arbor, Michigan, as part of the Scott Kelby Photowalk. So Mike and I are doing a big walk in Ann Arbor. Mike just informed me that not only will my group of people, you know, that we've got assembled be there, but we might have, I don't know what, another 75, 80,000 other people in Ann Arbor.
Could be worse. Could be 110,000.
Yeah.
If I don't know if anyone's paying attention to the Michigan U of M is playing at Maryland, which is perfect. I remember when we checked the schedule, I said, "This is perfect," except we didn't plan on a hurricane coming in off the East Coast. So they're deciding whether they're moving the game back or not. But I think that logistically that could just be unbelievable because how do you do with the people and how do you fit them in, season ticket holders, and who knows. But so we're going to hope for better weather, and for them to move the game late at night is the other option, which I'm hearing. So, but hey, you know what? If it is, we're going to have a lot of people to take pictures of.
Oh yes, it'll go from a lot of architecture and, you know, cityscapes to just straight up street shooting.
Yeah,
crazy fans
everywhere.
It'll be fun. no matter what, you know. And for those attending the walk or interested who live close enough to make it to Ann Arbor this Saturday at 11 a.m., we're meeting up at the Camera Mall. And if you just Google the Camera Mall Ann Arbor, it's a local camera store. Yes, there are brick and mortar camera stores. And they're freaking awesome, so you should check them out.
And cool ones.
Yes.
Like Camera Mall.
And we're starting the walk there. We're all meeting there at 11 a.m. And I've got not a lot. I've got 5 kind of like loaner kits I can loan out. They're EM5 Mark IIs. I've got an assortment of lenses to go with those as well. And Olympus is giving the Camera Mall and myself a TG4 to give out to somebody that's at the walk. And when I say give out, I don't mean loan. I mean it's going to be yours to keep and throw in the water and get dirty in the mud and freeze it in snow and all those fun things you can do with a Tuff. So if you get a chance and you're in our area, come on out, hang out with Mike and I and everybody else and have a good time at the Kelby Walk.
Yeah, and parking's easy. There's a nice structure almost attached to the building.
Yeah, it's literally 25, 30 feet from their building, so it's great.
Right, so it's simple. You won't have to drive through the streets of Ann Arbor looking for a spot to parallel park and just pull in. You know, and it's simple that way. But yeah, looking forward. I know last year we did it in Lansing.
Yep.
And we had probably, I think, maybe at least 70 or maybe a little less, but boy, we had a bunch.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We attacked the streets when we were out there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I think we're going to beat it this year for sure. And make sure you wear a coat. Could be a little cooler this Saturday.
Yeah. So
and
you know, you mentioned earlier that we were hoping that there's no rain. If there is rain, I am still doing everything that we're planning on doing, and I'll be bringing ponchos supplied by Olympus as well. So if you want an Olympus poncho, come out and play in the rain.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's an easy thing to do too.
Right.
So let's see what else do we have on our well, let's do some photo sharing. Gosh, I haven't shared anything for a month, so
yeah, no, you've kind of been gone, man. You've been out moving. So I'll let you go first because you've been absent. So
all right, I can do that, and see if I can get something that's outside of Michigan here too. Let's see. Can you see that?
Oh yeah,
the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boy, now I'm gonna Margaret Hunt Hill. I'm trying to remember the name of the bridge. This is in Dallas, Texas. I was out in Dallas and drove around West Texas out into Odessa, about 5 hours away. But this bridge was. I saw this bridge on a lot of Google pictures, for Dallas, and that I was excited to try to get down there. It so happens there's another bridge alongside of it. It's hard to tell, but right here is a pedestrian bridge. They're having some party, of course, the night I'm there on a Thursday night. They shut down the darn bridge, and there's 3,000 people, private party on here. I'm trying to figure out how to get on and get underneath, and I had to actually sneak beyond some police officers that were holding so I could get down low to the bridge to get the shot. But definitely a sharp shot. I'm sure with a little bit more access, which would be any other time besides that night, we could easily, get even some better shots from there. A lot of fun though to be able to get it for sure, and amazing architecture too. So I said I was out in Odessa. This is the shot from Odessa. This is actually behind this beast of an animal that actually was very far from me, by the way, because I had the 75-300 on. And this is an airport. These are right out almost on the airport land. Just amazing. But when I saw this, it was so dark. I knew I couldn't get them anymore, but the silhouette and the outline with the sun setting, just to me, this picture just says Texas.
It sure does.
It just says Texas when I look at it, and that's how it feels. So that was a lot of fun. And then this here is here from this past weekend. I was out hanging out in Detroit like I do a lot of times, but this time I ended up staying downtown instead of always going away and staying in other hotels. I said, I'm actually going to go stay down and for a couple nights in downtown Detroit. Stayed at the Renaissance Center. Lucky enough to get there's 70 floors in the mid tower of the Renaissance Center. We were up I think at 56. Wow. And this is, of course, everything I shot was through a window. But I was using that lens skirt, which I probably should give you the link to too. that lens skirt, so I could keep the lights on in the room, so I could still see, and my wife wouldn't get mad at me, and she could read or whatever. And you know, because otherwise everything has to go off. And I was able to, you know, you knock down those reflections from the lights in the room, and get some excellent shots. And the Rensen had clean windows, which was great. So happy. So, you know, just catching this sunset at the end of the night, it was amazing. And then later on the next night, this picture I don't think anybody has seen yet. I haven't posted this out yet, but this actually is looking at Comerica Park, where the Tigers play after the game. They always do fireworks on Friday and Saturday night, and these are the fireworks. And this is pretty far away from the Rensen when you're looking at it. So this is with the 40 to 150 on the EM1. And this in front of this is the Detroit Athletic Club. But this is just a very cool shot, you know, to be able to see that far and it's just such a different angle than you're used to.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing, is you're used to, you know, either at the same level or maybe a parking garage. You know, you're 3 times the height of a parking garage at this level. So, and you know, you know, I shot this in live composite, so it's got some nice little you know, cars and streaks coming through there too, which is pretty neat. So this is about the most exciting thing that are happening with the Tigers right now. Unfortunately, I have to say that is that the fireworks are going off. And again, from the room here, you know, looking down, this is the famous Joe Louis fist that sits out here. This thing is gigantic. It's hard to get an idea of how huge this is. But I can tell you, you know, the sign for Woodward, these poles, all this stuff is just huge. And Jamie and I did a workshop, and you were there when all those people were climbing on that, weren't you?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, some crazy bike club was on here. We won't go into all the details, but I know there were probably 30 or 40 people just standing on the platform.
Yeah.
You know, so that tells you how many people could fit on this thing. And, you know, these are cars coming obviously in and out. It's just a neat to see it from this angle, something very different. And then one last thing, and it's simple. It's really not a picture of anything specific, but, you know, I'll share the link in the thing for my YouTube video that I did with the Air on my bike when I travel. We do these slow rolls on Monday night in Detroit with about 3,000 other people, and bike riders going through the streets. And it just wanted to illustrate how cool the Air is, you know, hooking it to things like this capture. I mean, this is what I know Jamie uses these on his backpack. Am I right?
Yep.
Like you attach it so you can hold the camera. It happens to fit on my bike rack. Perfect. The tire acts as a stabilizer because the Air is not, you know, image stabilization. So I can't believe how smooth it looks when I'm actually driving in the video. And I'm thinking, obviously, because it has to do with the tires being rubber and everything is attached very strong, you know, to the rack. And there's your 9mm body cap fisheye lens. That's just great for doing something like this, keeping it small. So I want to show you the video, and I've got a lot of attention. I wrote a blog post on it, and I've got a lot of attention. Just wherever you can use that Air, give it a try, because it's just amazing the type of things you can find that you may never have seen in the past. So, but yeah, that's some of the latest and greatest, and I will let you go and show us what's going on.
Yeah, it's cool that, you know, the Air is so small that, especially with the body cap lens on it, you can do things like that. You know, you can put it in a place where I bet most people wouldn't even notice that on your bike. And if anything, it looks like there might be a light on the back of your bike. Nobody
that's exactly
is going to
what
look
most
at that
people
and think
thought.
it's a camera, you know. I mean, hell, you know, you can use it as a backup camera.
Yep. There you go.
All right, I only have a couple of photos to share.
Okay.
I think everything I'm sharing, I've probably shared online at one point or another anyways. But
that's good.
For those who haven't
the
followed
story behind
it. Yeah. So this was shot the other week. Like I said, we went to Grand Haven to shoot the sunset. You know, my wife and I went down to the pier and didn't have the kids with us, so it was great to be able to go down there for an evening with just my wife. And I found these things on the beach, and it looks, I think it's just beach or like seaweed, I guess, or lake grass. I don't know, but whatever it is, I think it gets churned up in the waves, and they form these balls, and they have whatever debris happens to be in the water, like seagull feathers or what have you. But there were several of them on the beach, and I just thought it would be kind of fun to play with perspective. And this with the 7 to 14 millimeter, on the camera, and it shows you how well the correction is on the lens for distortion. If you did this shot with a fisheye, the horizon would be like wicked bowed because I don't have it in the dead center of the frame, and this is almost right out of the camera for the most part. Slight cropping to change the perspective a little bit, but 7 to 14, crisp foreground, and the background started to get a little bit out of focus off towards the distance, but this was just a straight out of camera black and white too. So fun time at the beach. And I think that some of the grasses were actually touching the front of the lens, so that's how close you can get and focus with the 7 to 14. And the same with the 8 millimeter fisheye, which this was shot with. I was literally probably half an inch away from this wasp when I shot this with the 8 millimeter fisheye. Again, amazing how close you can focus with that. And it's kind of fun to do a shot this close. It's almost, you're almost like in the macro realm with it, but you're still pretty wide angle, in order to pull that off. So, it was that photo was taken, and this very next photo was taken on the same day. It was like a bug day for me. So I hadn't seen a praying mantis all summer. I was pretty stoked to find one and bring it home and cuddle with it and play with it and bring it up to my bedroom and set up a reflector and lights and actually shoot a focus stacked image. So this is from the EN10 Mark II, and this is 8 frames, I think, stacked. 7 or 8 frames, I don't remember off the top of my head. But normally, again, you wouldn't have the entire body in focus, from the front of his legs to the back of his tail. There are a couple of small artifacts in the image that's not from the camera. It's actually from the processing technique in Photoshop, because I'm still not that great at it, but you can see one by his back leg here. Aside from that, everything turned out great with it. And this photo, I think, hit Explore on Flickr, so it's garnered me, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 views. So people like bugs on camera lenses, I guess. And another one of those fun shots playing with crazy depth of field, and this is with the EM10 Mark II again. And that's kind of been my de facto camera lately, just because it's so damn small, and it's easy to take with me everywhere, easier than everything else I even own. But this was shot with a non-Olympus lens. Occasionally I will put on something non-Olympus. So this is with the Voigtlander Nocton 25 millimeter f.95, and this is at f.95, hence the crazy, funky, dreamy look to it. And actually sold a couple of prints of this once I put it online. It was weird how things like this appeal to people. Last shot, again, another one with, I don't remember if this was with the EM10 Mark II or not. I think it was. But this was just, one of those things where I was telling you, I'm driving home and I have to stop, and I've only got just a minute or two to jump out of the car and set up and take a shot. And this is just one of my favorite places on my way home to shoot. It's one of the higher points in Jackson County, rolling hills, and lots of times there are cows occupying the tops of those hills. I didn't have a silhouetted cow shot in this, but it is a little bit of pasture land. It was, typical me, dramatic skies and landscape. And this is a bracketed shot, obviously not 100% natural here. This is, I think, 5 photos bracketed and merged in HDR Effects Pro 2. So that's kind of what I've been up to lately. Everything from the micro to the big, I guess.
Yeah. Those are some pretty, that praying mantis is crazy. And when I saw that, I don't know why I didn't even realize it was on a lens.
Yeah.
I don't know what I originally saw, and now I'm looking at it and going, oh my God, it's on a lens.
Yeah, it's the 7.
So you really did bring that in your house.
So you walk in the front door with that sitting on your hand, and your wife gives you that look like if it escapes, you're dead. So not the bug, me. I'll be dead if I let it escape. So, exactly. So I took advantage of having that, and he sat still long enough for me to pull off the bracketed shot, which I'll talk about that just really quick. The bracketing, the focus stacking and focus bracketing, they're fast. It happens really quick. And how quick is going to be, of course, dependent on the shutter speed that you're able to achieve based on your lighting conditions. So to simplify that, if it's dark out and you need a 30-second shutter and you try to focus stack, well, you're looking at like 8 30-second exposures, what have you. I always set up with some hot lights, you know, some like 80-watt, 480-watt LED lights on that praying mantis. And so I had like a boatload of light, and I was wide open at like f2.8 on the 60mm macro. So my shutter speed was like 400th of a second or something. So it did 7 shots at 400th of a second, just boom, 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 and just super fast. So, you know, it's you can shoot things that are not maybe like things you might not think you could shoot necessarily, because he did sit still just for a second, but that's all it took, you know, to get those shots.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the way you got to do it. Well, I think that that is probably it. I know we went long, but we wanted to have a short interview, which was good.
Yeah,
and that's okay. And,
it's funny, we did a short interview and then we talked twice as long as normal.
Right, exactly.
But it's been a while since we've both been on the show, and you know, catch up time, I guess.
Exactly. Yep.
So sure. I guess the next show we'll be talking about the walk and just how big of a success that was. I know it's going to be a good one, and we've got more interviews lined up. Got down the road here, working out the logistics behind getting somebody lined up who has, I think if I'm not mistaken, the largest Instagram following of any group on Instagram. If it's not the largest, it is in the top 2 or 3. So it'll be interesting to talk to this gentleman, and that's the only hint I'm given. So it'll be pretty cool. So if you're an Instagrammer or interested in how that works or getting into it, stay tuned to us, because we're going to have a really cool interview coming up.
Excellent.
So
all right.
That's all I got to talk about for now.
Yep. That's it for me.
All right. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right. Yep. See ya. Maybe Saturday. Take it easy.
There you go. Bye.
All right.